Hey, everybody, welcome back to the PAC-South podcast. We are here in the year of 2026-27, our new season of the show. Is this officially season 3 now? Season 4? Season
Three,
3.
right?
The beginnings were
It
rough
was a bit of a
times, but now
whirlwind. Yeah.
we have actually hit our stride now a bit. So when we understand, we actually have the show name now. We've been going for the season, so okay, here we are in what we're calling season 3. Um, Pat, I'm super excited for this year. Last year, the conference, the first time doing that, I think that was so much fun, and we're going into that even more this year. A few more teams. We only had one team leave in Florida State. One of our temporary teams didn't win any of the conferences or conference sports, so they left. However, everyone else that was temporary did come back for one reason or another, and we do have some new teams in there as well. Some teams that we'll be seeing in person this year. Some fun stories. So we'll hop right into those. So the team we're seeing in person, Pat, you and I, we're going over to Missoula, Montana this fall. We get to watch the Grizzly on their senior day take on Idaho State. I think that will be a lot of fun. Hoping for a snow game. Have you had a snow game experience yet?
I have, not for college football, but for the
Okay.
NFL.
Okay.
So I was at a Patriots Dolphins game right before New Year's when I was in high school, and it snowed heavy the night before, and then started snowing in the second half.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet. So yeah, I haven't experienced that. Watched a lot of South Carolina football games. Believe it or not, there's not a lot of snow in South Carolina. I just remember growing up and watching the college football and like probably a lot of the Montana games because of how good they were during the playoffs. So they got the snow playoff games. But I just always remember seeing that, and we're finally pulling the trigger on that this
Mhm.
year. Another Northern team new to the PAC-South Conference and new to the FBS division. That is the North Dakota State Bison. We will be following them in the PAC-South this year as well. Should be very interesting. Only moving up this year to the Mountain West Conference in football only. They will remain at their I'm blanking on the name of the conference right now, but their old FCS conference for all other sports this year. It's not Ohio Valley. I'm
They
blanking on
weren't
what.
Horizon, were they? No.
Or is it Big
Um,
Sky? Were they Big Sky? No, not
mm,
Big Sky. They wouldn't be Big Sky. It is Ohio Valley. A conference that plays football and many other sports. The North Dakota State Bison will remain over there outside of football. We then move over. We have Boston College joining for reasons that we'll get into in just a few moments. We're very excited to have them. A little Northeast representation along with Providence College. So got a little bit of back and forth there now in that region. But then obviously we have our temporary schools of Duke, Charlotte, Washington, Iowa State, and Florida all returning again. And then not to mention our permanent teams. Pat, we have some new sports as well, and I'm kind of interested to see where you feel is going to be like our interesting points of the sports calendar, because obviously in the past we stuck with our main big four sports. Now we're going to have a lot of overlap
mhm.
in this. So we're adding men's and women's soccer, we're adding men's hockey, and we're adding softball. So obviously you get softball, another spring sport, hockey right in there with men's and women's basketball, and then the men's and women's soccer kind of encompassing the entire calendar. Um, we're going to have like I feel like some good like sport equinoxes in a way.
Yeah.
What time of year now are you most looking forward to?
I feel like I don't know, at least for like us content wise, in terms of like having stuff to talk about, being able to like dive into it. I think like late fallish, like like mid to late October is going to be perfect
Yeah,
because basketball season's about to start. So there's going to be some storylines there. You could probably can see like better than right now, like what these teams are looking like coming out of their unofficial scrimmages and things like that. We've got the end of the soccer season. So that's always a really fun tournament to watch. For us, at least, we will have some teams that probably have a decent shot at making the NCAAs this year. Providence College is usually like a fairly competitive soccer program. Duke is pretty consistent. Um,
And we
and
do
so
have the defending national champions
we do.
in the conference for the men's side. So should be interesting to see if they can repeat. I know they had a lot of roster changeover though, so
Yeah,
more to discuss there, but should at least be in the tournament.
for sure. And then, of course, like we've got our big ticket item of conference play during the football season. So I think that late October, mid October time period is going to be so, so good in terms of like us having stuff to talk about, us having stuff to, like throw on the social media pages. And obviously, just as fans, watch because at the end of the day, like that's what it's about is enjoying. Um, the wonders that college athletics bring us.
Right. For sure. For sure. And we started getting into it a little bit last year too. Now this year, it being an official sport, having the Final Four and the Frozen Four going on with all eyes and ears tuned into both tournaments. Well, all three tournaments really.
Yeah.
It'll be, I think, a lot of fun, and it's just going to be nonstop madness from Thursday to Sunday every single week. So that'll be a lot of fun. I think that winter going into spring, now adding the softball, we'll have a few good softball programs in our conference as well this year to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
Baseball will be in full swing, and then obviously with March Madness between both hockey and men's and women's basketball, I think that could almost rival that like college football fall time as just all sports are being involved there.
Definitely.
With our new teams, well, I didn't even say to it, but obviously Boston College in to have another hockey team. I alluded to it, had to come back around full circle. There you have it. But with our new teams here, maybe let's focus on Boston College, North Dakota State, and Montana for now. Which of those three teams as conference newcomers do you expect to have, not just in a single sport, but just across the board, the biggest impact?
That's tough because, like you want to immediately say a program like North Dakota State because, they had all that success at the FCS level. We don't really know what to expect out of the Mountain West this year. So that's like, for me, a really interesting program that's coming to us, but I'm also really intrigued by Boston College. I don't think they're going to be great football wise. Like I think that's pretty easy to assume. But they've got a really solid hockey program. They've got a good baseball program. Men's basketball obviously is looking for a change. They've got a first year head coach. Would be interesting to see what they can do. So I don't know. I feel like the easy answer is North Dakota State because I expect them to have some level of success in their FBS transition, probably a decently high level of it. And then, of course, they've been a pretty decent team in conference for basketball for the past 4 or 5 years now. What scares me about Montana is their kind of lack of consistency outside of football when it comes to sports.
Indeed.
So that's why I'm a little on the fence with them. I'll lean North Dakota State just because I feel like that's the safe answer. But what are you thinking, TJ?
I think that it's going to be a tale of two halves, kind of, between really North Dakota State and Boston College. Montana, I think, obviously with football, really good team. The issue that they're going to have when it comes to our conference, ranking wise, is because it's on the point scale. Almost all their games are going to be FCS games, so they're not going to be worth as much. So maybe in the case of, Charlotte last year having one FCS win, Montana is probably going to have more than one FCS win. So they may actually beat Charlotte based on last year's standards. But I don't really think that they would be competing with many other teams. Then you look, obviously, with basketball and other sports, and like you say, they're a bit inconsistent. North Dakota State and Boston College, on the other hand, Boston College, obviously a larger D1 school with a lot of money and a lot more capability, playing in the ACC. North Dakota State, just perennial powerhouse of like the northern Midwest. Football team is always very good. You and I have actually seen their basketball
We
team
have.
in person in the tournament almost a decade ago now. So,
Yeah.
they do have some history. If they can make some noise in this in conference play this year, that would help them out. I think North Dakota State, the first half of the 26-27 season for us, I think that they're going to be pretty good. I think Boston College, though, coming in backdoor, maybe a nice little finish in women's basketball, higher than they're
True.
expected.
True.
Baseball, softball, hockey. I think that Boston College's conference money winning sports for us is going to come in later in the year. Don't really expect them to be up there with North Dakota State, come December time.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I don't know. I think it should be interesting where, we see that shift out of maybe like basketball and into like fully our spring sports of baseball and softball, like
Mm-hmm.
where these teams shake out. Because, like you mentioned, a team like Boston College can make up a ton of ground in that time period. Where I don't know. I hope that we can be able to go to a Charlotte football game again this year. I know we were able to do that last year. Maybe go to a Charlotte basketball game because it is fairly close for one of us. And cheap. Uh, I feel like they're kind of like, this might be your next question, but they're like our hanger on that's in the most danger of potentially dropping off or coming in last.
Indeed, it does help the locality of Charlotte to, have some stuff to talk about. Kind of have like, you don't really want to load the conference with just a bunch of top teams. You
Yeah.
don't really want to load it with a bunch of bottom teams either. But it does add some wholeness to it as well. And I mean, the 49ers are a very fun team to follow
For sure.
for fun. So it's nice to have them along, but yeah, they are a little bit in the danger zone.
Yeah.
We'll transition on back to the top of the conference now. Obviously we had Duke, who just was incredible. Football was a bit of a shock last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, we had some incredible tiebreaker situations to help the Blue Devils win our conference as well because of the ACC conference. So do we fully expect, between men's basketball for Duke probably being right there at the top again? I mean, we do have a few teams that can make runs against them. We have Florida, we have Iowa State, but Duke will more than likely come in as our top contender. Women's basketball, very good. Duke baseball, decently solid. They did fall apart mid-season. Didn't expect that, but usually a typically good team. Is it safe to assume Duke is going to be right there at the top again, with the inclusion of these new sports as well?
I'm going to say yes. I think that people are kind of sleeping on Duke football a little bit. I don't think they're going to be conference champions, though. We didn't really think that going into last season either.
Right.
But I do think that they're going to have a better season than expected. Obviously, losing Darian Mensah hurt. Obviously, losing Cooper Barkate hurt. But this is a team that hit the portal really, really hard defensively, and that was their main area of struggle last year. So as long as the offense is like decently consistent, I feel like they can still win 8 games and kind of, keep themselves in our conversation points wise. I think this is a team that kind of sneakily overachieves when it comes to women's basketball as well. Because, like when you think of Duke basketball, typically most people think of the men's team and not the success that the women have had of late. So I think Duke is definitely a top contender or a front runner in our conference for this year.
Okay. And I'll say this with my analysis and basically then pose the question after I make the argument. Is it safe to assume that Washington should be almost more than a dark horse for the top this year. I mean, you have a Darian Mensah saga with Damon Williams.
Yeah.
He does come back though. Decent team. I mean, they finished with 9 wins in football last year,
Mhm.
so they played pretty well in conference for us. Men's basketball, pretty good. Women's basketball, pretty good. Baseball toward the end of the year started to get it going.
Yep.
And obviously, as we mentioned before, now with the addition of soccer, they are the defending national champions.
Mhm.
So on paper, they should be the best men's soccer team
Gosh.
in our conference. All those things adding up, it seems like Washington should be a top team in that conference, but also it doesn't feel like it. What's your kind of take on that?
Yeah, I agree with you that, like by all metrics, they should be one of the top competitors, if not like right there. I feel like with Duke, um, I don't know. I feel like the thing that hurts Washington is, in a way, both of their basketball programs, because like they have been prone to winning the games that they should against like decent opponents, but then never really being able to kind of get over that hump against top teams. And like for us, accumulating points in that fashion, like that is kind of a necessary is to have those ranked wins. So I feel like particularly the men's team leaves some points on the table when it comes to that. I feel like that's kind of like the one shortcoming they've got. Obviously, baseball. This is way too early to predict how good their baseball team is going to be.
Sure.
Like we haven't even seen like fall camp or anything like that yet. Um, and I feel like baseball is such a variable sport, especially in the NIL era. Like we have these projections for teams like LSU was supposed to be fantastic last year and just totally fell on their face. So,
Never showed up. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I'd be more concerned about them picking up consistent points with basketball than baseball because obviously with baseball, even if you're not playing great ball, if you're still winning series, you're picking up points along the way
Yeah. And especially as you get into conference play. I mean, Oregon State was the biggest victim of that.
there.
Had they
Yeah.
been in a conference last year, they still may have won, even with their disappointing postseason showing. So interesting enough there. And we'll have a few more questions here for you. And these are more just on the opinion base.
Okay.
Uh, I have to say this, and we're probably going to talk about one of these teams in a moment, but since I am wearing the UCF hat, I have to then bring up to you and basing it off of where another team finished similarly. UCF, New Mexico. Which program finishes better?
Ooh. Now that's a really interesting question. Oh.
I mean, New Mexico, I feel like in most sports has a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
UCF, obviously, the Big 12 transition has not been what they've really expected. Men's
Especially for football.
basketball under Coach Dawkins has made some progress. They just made a new change in the women's basketball head coach position. And then baseball, also a bit of a disappointing end to their season. So there's pieces. You can see it. Year 2 under Scott Frost and his second tenure. They're there, but it's just not there.
I think you hit the nail on the head with bringing up Scott Frost last. I think that's totally going to be the determining factor here is how these two teams play in football. Because, New Mexico is one of the best teams in the Mountain West for basketball, and especially with no Utah State and no San Diego State now, they are kind of the front runner for the Mountain West
Mm-hmm.
alongside, I'd probably say, like Grand Canyon's right there with them as well. Um, like they are in the driver's seat, where UCF obviously is in much deeper basketball conference, coming off a
Indeed, yeah.
tournament appearance. Like we can probably expect a pretty consistent season there, but I feel like UCF football is such a question mark for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, like I feel like this is one of those rosters where, like you said, like there's pieces, but you don't fully know what those pieces will give you on a consistent basis. And like, this is a team that I could see winning 8 games, or this is a team that I could see winning like 4 games.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just in that weird point where, like, obviously we know kind of the identity that Scott Frost is going to try and build for this team and for this program. But does he have the pieces, particularly at the quarterback position, right, to like give him that style of offense and style of play that he loves to play and that he's kind of known for? So I think football will really determine that. Where, like, right now, I'd probably say I have more confidence in New Mexico football winning more games than UCF.
Okay. All right. So maybe slight edge to the Lobos.
Yeah, slight edge Lobos, I'll say.
Okay. And then one final question for you / both of us. Who are you most excited to follow as a program this year?
Ooh, that's tough. Is this sort of sport specific or just like across all of the sports that we're looking
Across all sports.
Okay.
All sports. So, I mean, this is really just diving into how deep and how fun you think an entire school's program is right now.
I'm going to go with one that probably does not make a lot of sense off the top, but I'm going to go with Iowa State, actually.
Okay.
Mainly because I have no clue, like literally no clue what to expect from their football team this year.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like, we all know what happened when Matt Campbell left for Penn State, lost a lot of scholarship players, had a huge void to fill there, right? And obviously, anytime you've got a new head coach coming in, it's kind of exciting to see, like, what that first year is going to be like. So I feel like that, coupled with their consistent success on the men's basketball side, their consistent success over the past, I'd say, like 10 years on the women's basketball side, makes them a really, really interesting program for me. Obviously, they don't have hockey, but I don't know. That kind of like catches my eye and draws me in.
Yeah, it is.
Sports.
Yeah, that is a very fair pick because, yeah, I mean, everything you just listed, they have been good for a while now in every single sport, but like there are actually a lot of question marks in every single one. Football, I would be worried about had Matt Campbell left, like, let's say even 4 years ago, and sure, like,
yeah,
some of his best years already had happened by that point. But Iowa State was not established because before Matt Campbell, they didn't really have a lot.
No.
Matt Campbell came in. I mean, he did an amazing job building that program, and I think really him leaving when he did, there was at least some stability there. So it will be very interesting to see. This is a huge year one for Iowa State football, losing probably one of the best coaches in your school's history, and seeing what the next guy can do. I'll say for my answer, I thought I was going to have to make a second pick because it was just going to be so much on last year. I thought I was really just going to say New Mexico again, but then I really started thinking about it more and more. It is a bummer that there is no football team here, but I'm going to say St. Louis.
Ooh, okay.
St. Louis, historically incredible men's soccer program. The men's basketball team has had some great seasons. They are a very good team in the Atlantic 10, which is a very good basketball conference. Women's team, can they make the step up toward the top of the A10 to really just solidify their winter sports? I think that would be a big step. And their baseball team, I watched some of their games last year, and yes, they did not have a very good year, but there are pieces there. And I think that if they can really finish the 9 innings, they might be able to make some noise in their conference play, which, as we said before, is where you make our money in our ranking system. So I think the Billikens could be a very fun team to watch. Again, it's unfortunate they don't have football, but for men's soccer especially, could really be a dark horse against teams like Washington and Duke. And if they meet on the pitch, it's not a guarantee, I think, one way or another. I think those would be very good matches. So I like the Billikens. So we're both going Midwest, actually not very far apart from each other, which those programs do not meet very often in any sport. So should be very interesting to see where our two, fun follows finish up in conference play. for the PAC-South. So there you have it. That is our kind of season premiere. We will come back next week with our summer football, as we are now about a month away from the start of the college football season. Yeah, we'll dive into it then, give all our analysis on the new teams, what to expect, and who we think will win. So until next week, for Pat, I'm TJ. Welcome back to the PAC-South Conference.